Have you ever walked into your room, looked around, and felt exhausted before your day even began? Nothing dramatic happened. No one argued with you. No bad news arrived. Yet somehow, your mind already feels heavy. Here's something most people never realize. The clutter around you is rarely just physical. It quietly becomes mental. Every pile of clothes, every unopened drawer, every forgotten note, every unnecessary object competes for a tiny piece of your attention. Alone, they seem harmless. Together, they create invisible noise that follows you everywhere. The strange part is that most people don't notice this happening. They simply believe they're becoming less motivated, less creative, or less disciplined. But what if the real problem isn't you? What if your environment has been shaping your thoughts all along? Welcome to Clarity Cabin. Today, we're exploring how clearing your space can become the first step toward clearing your mind, and why true clarity isn't something you discover. It's something you uncover by removing everything that doesn't belong. Imagine carrying a backpack every single day. At first, it's almost empty. Then someone places one small stone inside. You barely notice. A few days later, another stone. Then another. Weeks pass. Months pass. Eventually, the backpack becomes so heavy that you forget what it felt like to walk freely. That's exactly how mental clutter works. Rarely does life overwhelm us overnight. Instead, tiny unfinished decisions begin to accumulate. I'll organize this tomorrow. I'll answer that email later. I'll deal with this next week. One by one, these small promises become invisible weight. Psychologists often describe this as the burden of unfinished tasks. Even when you're resting, your brain continues to reserve mental energy for things it believes are incomplete. Every unfinished responsibility quietly remains active in the background, consuming attention you never intended to give away. Now combine that with physical clutter. Your eyes constantly scan your surroundings. Without realizing it, your brain asks hundreds of tiny questions. Should I clean that? Where does this belong? Why haven't I finished this? Do I still need it? These questions happen so quickly that you never consciously hear them. But your brain does, every single day. Research has shown that visual clutter competes for your attention, making it harder to focus and increasing mental fatigue. Your brain isn't built to ignore everything around you. Instead, it continually processes your environment, even when you think you're concentrating on something else. Think about the last time you entered a peaceful place. Maybe it was a quiet library, a mountain cabin, a clean hotel room, or a calm beach at sunrise. You probably felt your breathing slow down. Your thoughts became quieter, not because your problems disappeared, but because your surroundings stopped demanding your attention. Your environment speaks to your nervous system long before your conscious mind notices. This is why your room matters. Your desk matters. Your digital workspace matters. They're not just places where life happens. They're silent conversations happening all day long. And here's the truth that many people avoid. Sometimes, we keep clutter because we're afraid of what silence will reveal. A busy environment distracts us from difficult emotions. A messy schedule keeps us from asking uncomfortable questions. Constant consumption prevents us from sitting alone with our thoughts. Decluttering isn't only about removing objects. It's about removing distractions. Because once the distractions disappear, you're finally left face to face with yourself. That can feel uncomfortable, but it's also where healing begins. Many people think clarity arrives after finding the perfect planner, buying better furniture, or discovering a new productivity system. But clarity doesn't come from adding. It comes from subtracting. Nature teaches us this beautifully. A river flows because nothing blocks its path. The sky appears endless because clouds eventually move away. A window lets in light only after the dust is cleaned away. The same is true for your mind. Your thoughts don't always need improvement. Sometimes they simply need space. One of the simplest ways to begin is with a single surface. Not your entire house. Not your whole life. Just one small area. A desk. A bedside table. A shelf. As you remove each unnecessary item, notice something remarkable. You're not only creating physical space, you're sending a message to your brain. This matters. I choose what deserves my attention. I am creating room for peace. Small actions repeated consistently reshape identity. Every intentional decision strengthens the belief that your life doesn't have to be controlled by chaos. And that belief changes everything. Because once your environment begins to breathe, your mind slowly follows. This journey isn't about becoming a minimalist. It isn't about owning fewer things than everyone else. It's about making sure everything around you supports the person you be. We're meeting you of the person you've outgrown. In the next part, we'll uncover the mental clutter you can't see, the hidden habits, mental's information, and emotional baggage that quietly drain your focus every day. You'll discover why deleting one thought can sometimes create more freedom than throwing away an entire room full of possessions. Clearing the invisible clutter inside your mind. Imagine waking up tomorrow in a perfectly clean room. Every surface is organized. Every drawer is neat. Nothing is out of place. Now ask yourself one question. Would your mind instantly feel peaceful? For most people, the answer is no. Because while physical clutter is easy to see, mental clutter often hides beneath the surface. You can't place it in a box or sweep it off a table, yet it can be far heavier than anything you own. This is where the real journey begins. Your mind wasn't designed to hold every worry, every notification, every opinion, every comparison, and every unfinished thought at once. Yet that's exactly what many of us ask it to do every day. From the moment we wake up, our attention is pulled in dozens of directions. Messages arrive before we've even gotten out of bed. Headlines compete for our focus. Social media presents endless comparisons. Emails demand immediate responses. Videos promise answers to problems we didn't know we had. Without realizing it, we become collectors, not of objects, but of information. And just like a room filled with too many possessions, a mind filled with too much information eventually runs out of space to think clearly. There's a difference between being informed and being overwhelmed. Knowledge can empower you, but constant consumption can exhaust you. Think of your mind as a garden. If you plant too many seeds without caring for them, nothing has room to grow. Weeds begin to spread, healthy plants struggle for sunlight, and eventually the garden becomes crowded and chaotic. Your thoughts work the same way. Every idea you consume asks for attention. Every worry asks for energy. Every comparison asks you to question your own path. Eventually, your inner world becomes so crowded that you can no longer hear your own voice. Perhaps you've experienced this before. You sit down to work on something important. 5 minutes later, you remember an email you forgot to answer. Then a notification appears. Then you remember a conversation from last week. Then you wonder whether you're making the right career choice. Within moments, your body is still sitting in the chair, but your attention has traveled through 10 different places. This isn't because you're lazy. It's because attention is a limited resource. The more directions it's pulled, the less deeply it can focus. Psychologists often describe this as attention residue. When you rapidly switch between tasks, part of your attention remains attached to the previous activity. Instead of giving your full focus to the present moment, your mind carries small pieces of everything you've left unfinished. Over time, this creates a feeling many people struggle to describe. They're always busy, yet they rarely feel productive. They're constantly thinking, yet they rarely feel clear. The solution isn't to think harder. It's to think with more intention. One of the most powerful habits you can build is creating moments of intentional silence. Not because silence solves every problem, but because silence allows hidden thoughts to surface. Many people fear quiet because it feels unfamiliar. When distractions disappear, emotions we've been avoiding begin to speak. Old disappointments, unanswered questions, and difficult decisions often rise to the surface. It can be uncomfortable, but discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Growth begins the moment we change, without immediately reaching for another distraction. This is why simple practices like journaling can be so transformative. A journal isn't just a notebook. It's a place where your thoughts no longer have to stay trapped inside your mind. Instead of carrying dozens of ideas at once, you place them somewhere safe. You don't lose them. You simply free your mind from holding them all at the same time. Another powerful habit is learning to ask one simple question whenever a new commitment appears. Does this truly deserve my attention? Notice the wording, not, can I do this? Not, should I say yes? But, does this deserve my attention? Attention is one of the most valuable resources you'll ever possess. Once today is over, you'll never get these hours back. That's why protecting your attention isn't selfish. It's essential. The same principle applies to relationships. Some conversations leave you inspired. Others leave you emotionally drained. Some people encourage your growth. Others constantly pull your focus toward negativity, comparison, or unnecessary conflict. Decluttering your mind sometimes means setting healthy boundaries, not because you value people less, but because you value your peace more. Healthy boundaries create room for healthier connections. There's another kind of clutter we rarely discuss, the stories we tell ourselves. I'm always behind. I'm not good enough. I'll never change. These thoughts often repeat so frequently that they begin to sound like facts. But thoughts are not always truth. They're experiences passing through your mind. Learning to notice them without automatically believing them is one of the greatest forms of mental freedom. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves float past on the water. You watch them come and go. You don't jump into the river to chase every leaf. Thoughts can be treated the same way. Some deserve attention. Many simply pass by if we allow them. Peace doesn't come from controlling every thought. It comes from choosing which thoughts deserve a place in your life. As your inner world becomes quieter, something remarkable happens. Creativity returns. Patience grows. Decisions become clearer. Not because life becomes easier, but because your mind is no longer carrying unnecessary weight. Physical decluttering creates space around you. Mental decluttering creates space within you. Together, they prepare you for something far greater than organization. They prepare you for clarity, a kind of clarity that isn't found in perfection, but in presence. In the final part of this journey, we'll bring everything together. You'll discover simple daily habits that help you protect your clarity over time. So peace becomes more than an occasional feeling. It becomes a way of living, one intentional choice at a time. A life of clarity begins with one small choice. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. You wake up before the alarm. The room around you feels calm instead of chaotic. Your phone isn't the first thing you reach for. The air feels lighter. Your mind feels quieter. For the first time in a long time, you don't feel like you're chasing your life. You're living it. Now imagine another version of yourself. The room is still crowded with things you've been meaning to organize. Notifications begin before you've even opened your curtains. Your calendar is full, but your heart feels empty. The stress hasn't come from one dramatic event. It has grown from thousands of small decisions left unattended. The surprising truth is this. Both futures begin with the choices you make today. Most people wait for motivation before they change their lives. They believe that one morning they'll wake up feeling inspired, disciplined, and ready to become a different person. But life rarely works that way. Action creates motivation far more often than motivation creates action. Every meaningful transformation begins with one ordinary step, one drawer cleaned, one unnecessary purchase avoided, 1 hour without social media, one journal entry, one honest conversation, one quiet walk. These actions may seem insignificant on their own, but together they shape your identity. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, writes that every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You transform through a single grand gesture. You transform through repeated small choices. Think of a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. The masterpiece isn't created by adding more stone. It's revealed by removing what doesn't belong. Your life is remarkably similar. Clarity isn't something you purchase. It isn't hidden inside a productivity app or waiting in a perfectly organized planner. It already exists beneath the distractions, the unnecessary commitments, the endless comparisons, and the fear of letting go. Your task is not to build clarity from nothing. Your task is to uncover it, one layer at a time. This is why decluttering becomes more than cleaning. It becomes a practice of deciding what truly deserves a place in your life. Every object you keep should serve a purpose or bring genuine value. Every habit you repeat should move you toward the person you hope to become. Every relationship should encourage growth, honesty, and peace. Every hour of your day should reflect your deepest priorities rather than your loudest distractions. When you begin living this way, something extraordinary happens. Your decisions become easier. You spend less time searching because everything has its place. You worry less because your mind isn't juggling endless unfinished tasks. You compare yourself less because your attention returns to your own journey. You begin to notice small joys that were always there. The warmth of sunlight entering your room, the sound of rain against the window, a meaningful conversation without checking your phone, a peaceful cup of tea, the satisfaction of completing one important task with full attention. These moments aren't extraordinary because they're rare. They're extraordinary because we often rush past them. Clarity slows us down just enough to notice what truly matters. There will still be difficult days. There will still be setbacks. Your home won't remain perfectly organized forever. Your mind won't always be free from worry. That's part of being human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is returning. Returning to the habits that ground you. Returning to the values that guide you. Returning to the version of yourself that chooses peace over chaos, intention over impulse, and presence over distraction. Remember, every room eventually becomes messy again. Every garden grows weeds. Every path collects fallen leaves. Maintenance is not failure. It is simply the price of caring for what matters. Treat your mind with the same kindness. Some days you'll feel overwhelmed. Some days your thoughts will race. Instead of criticizing yourself, pause. Take one deep breath. Ask yourself one simple question. Asterisk, what is one thing I can let go of today? Maybe it's an unnecessary object. Maybe it's an unrealistic expectation. Maybe it's an old regret. Maybe it's the need to impress people who don't truly know you. Letting go is not losing. Often, it's the beginning of freedom. At Clarity Cabin, we believe that the richest life is not the one filled with the most possessions, the busiest schedule, or the loudest achievements. It's the life filled with purpose. The life where your surroundings support your peace instead of stealing it. The life where your thoughts become clear enough to hear your own wisdom. And the life where you stop measuring success by how much you can carry and begin measuring it by how lightly you can walk. So today, don't try to organize your entire life. Choose one shelf, one drawer, one notebook, one habit, one quiet moment. Start there, because every peaceful home begins with a single room. Every meaningful journey begins with a single step. And every clear mind begins with one courageous decision to let go of what no longer serves you. Thank you for spending these moments with us here at Clarity Cabin. If this message brought you a little more peace or a new perspective, consider sharing it with someone who may need it today. And if you'd like to continue exploring the psychology of clarity, intentional living, and personal growth, we'd be honored to have you join us again. Until next time, remember, sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from having the courage to remove everything that keeps you from becoming who you were and meant to be.